Welcome students to the course Decision Making with the Spreadsheet. Why decision making is important for business. Leaders need to be good decision makers. Leaders learn to understand the difference between what is rational and what feels right. Good decisions saves your time and money. If the decision is good, that employees get more confident. And if our decision is good, a stronger professional development, because in our life we take so many decisions. This is applicable for the organization also. If the decisions are correct, there is a stronger professional development is possible. Like this, there are so many events which affect our decisions. So, the title of this course is Decision Making with the Spreadsheet. The objective of this course is to introduce the conceptual understanding of the role of management science that plays in decision making process. Here what we have planned this course is, yes, we are going to make the decisions with the help of management science, and you will learn how to analyze the complex problem and work with Excel. You may ask why the spreadsheet is used for the decision making. Managers are maybe less confident and less experienced in model building and information technology skills. Increasingly easy to use software has made it easier for managers to learn to make an effective use of information technology. It is important that the managers develop the skills to be able to use spreadsheet effectively in support of strategic decision making. That is why I am going to teach in this course how to use the spreadsheet Excel for making decisions. Why spreadsheet? What are the features of the spreadsheet? Spreadsheet offers a range of standard arithmetic function and can also calculate internal rate of return, net present value, and have common statistical tools. Another advantage of using spreadsheet is that individual spreadsheet models can be linked. Along with Microsoft, there is a software called Power BI. Okay. For example, this software Power BI will help you to link various spreadsheets. Obviously, the data may be collected at different point of time at different places. The data may be collected in the form of spreadsheet. So, if you want to take a decision by considering all the spreadsheets, it is possible to link the spreadsheets. And reports are available which not only include the worksheet and extracts from it, but also diagrams and graphs. Models may be developed which interact with and extract data from a database. So, Excel also can be used to import the data from database, and Excel also will help you to make various diagrams and graphs which will be easy for interpreting the result. Another advantage of using spreadsheet is we can do what if analysis, that is called a sensitivity analysis, that we will be covering in detail in coming lectures, and we can do optimization, and other features can be performed with the help of spreadsheet. The reference book which I am going to follow, the title of the book is The Introduction to Management Science, Quantitative Approaches to Decision Making by Anderson et al. In this lecture, what is the agenda? I am going to explain the history of management science and its development. After that, I will be explaining the steps in problem solving. Then I will explain the types of models, because we are going to focus specifically on mathematical model. I will explain how to form a mathematical model and how to get a solution out of the mathematical models, because when we say any models, there will be some inputs. I will be classifying that inputs into two categories, which is controllable and uncontrollable inputs. That is the agenda for this lecture. What is management science? It is an approach to decision making based on the scientific method. Okay. It uses extensive use of quantitative analysis. Two other widely known and accepted names for the management sciences, operations research and decision science. Today, many use the terms management science, operations research and decision science interchangeably. There are some books which carries the title as management science, some books carries the title as operations research and some books on decision science. When you look at the history of management science or operations research, the concept of scientific management in 1911 was given by F. W. Taylor. He is the first person who has talked about the importance of decision making. He has suggested various ways to increase the productivity or the efficiency. After that, during the World War II, from the year 1939 to 1945, because the resources are very scarce, a group of teams are formed to know how to optimally utilize the resources. How to optimize the resources. The team, who are the members in the teams? In that team there were the engineers, there is a management scientist and there was a behavioral scientist also. Because they have formed a cross functional teams, because a problem has to be understood in different perspective. So, after the World War II, the new methodological development in management science has happened. Professor Dancing in 1947, he has introduced a method, simplex method, for solving management problems, linear programming problems, that led to, after that, because of availability of computers and easily available softwares at lesser price, at higher speeds, this subject operations research management science has taken very great advantage. In this class also we are going to use the help of computer technology for solving linear programming problems. That will help you for making decision. And the another development is the explosive growth of data. Nowadays, after the availability of internets, you see our mobile phones, social network science. So, collecting the data is not the problem. The huge amount of data is freely available. As a management scientist, a decision maker is how to use this data and make useful decisions. That is what we are going to do in this class. Then what is the problem solving? Okay. Problem solving can be defined as the process of identifying the difference between the actual and the desired situation and then taking action to resolve the differences. Look at the left hand side, there is an actual situation is there. The right hand side, there is a desired situation is there. There is a difference between actual and desired situations. So, we are going to resolve the difference, because we want a desired situation, but currently the problem is in the situation is an actual situation. So, we are going to find out, or we are going to reduce the difference between actual and desired situations. That is called our problem solving. We have seen what is the problem solving in our previous slides. Now, we will see what are the steps for problem solving. There are 7 steps. Define the problem, identify the alternatives, determine the criteria, evaluate the alternative, choose an alternative, and then implement the decision and evaluate the result. Out of these 7 steps, the first 5 steps, that is right from defining the problem to choose an alternative, it is called decision making. Because you see, the problem solving and decision making, it is related. Now, we will see in detail about another alternate classification of the decision making process. See, we can have 2 classification. One is structuring the problem, second one analyzing the problem. Of the 5 steps, again I have classified some first 3 steps for structuring the problem, remaining 2 steps for analyzing the problem. What is the meaning of structuring the problem? Defining the problem, identifying the alternatives and determining criteria, that is called structuring the problem. Our focus in this course also will be spent on how to structure the problem. Once the problem is correctly structured, then we will go for analyzing the problem. For analyzing, we are going to use the Excel. So, in analyzing the problem, there are 2 stages: evaluate the alternatives, then choose the alternative. In the decision making process, let us see role of qualitative and quantitative analysis. We have seen what is the structuring the problem. While analyzing the problem can be analyzed qualitative and quantitative tools. If you are using qualitative tools, that is called the qualitative analysis. If you are using quantitative tools, that is called the quantitative analysis. In this class, we will be spending most of the time on using quantitative analysis. Qualitative analysis also equally important, because there are many things which cannot be quantified while making the best decision. Many strategic decisions, even though we use quantitative techniques, once the quantitative after using the quantitative techniques, once the result after the result has come, we should use the qualitative analysis also. Many strategic decisions we use qualitative analysis. Then summary and evaluation, finally making the decision. So, what I am trying to say here is, for analyzing the problem, we can use qualitative tools, at the same time we can use quantitative tools. But in this course, the focus is on quantitative approach. You may ask, why a quantitative approach? When the problem is large and complex, we should go for quantitative approach. The problem is especially important where the great deal of money is involved. Okay. Then the managers desire a thorough analysis before attempting to decide. So, here the concept of quantitative analysis has come, otherwise you will be losing your money. The another situation where we can use quantitative approaches, if the problem is repetitive, okay, and the manager saves time and effort by relying on quantitative procedures to make routine decision recommendations. Another important point is that while using quantitative techniques, the management scientist and the manager should work together. What do you mean by here manager is the user. You may be a management scientist, you may suggest a solution, but even at every stage of the problem, you should take the confidence of, you should have confidence of this managers, because he is the person who is going to use your decision, your recommendations. When both the management scientist and the manager agree that the problem has been adequately structured, work can begin on developing a model to represent the problem mathematically. So, here you need to have the confidence of your managers. Obviously, you as a management scientist should work together before solving the problem. Then let us look at various models. The first model is iconic model. For example, in the left hand side there is an airplane is there. Okay. So, we can have a model, airplane model. So, by looking at the by looking at the models, okay, we can see what are the design characteristics of the actual models. For example, there is another the bottom there is an example is a toy truck. So, the toy truck is replica of your actual truck. What is the purpose of this model? because model can be used for further analysis. Okay. This is a prototype of your actual product. The next type of model is analog models. Okay. It includes models that are physical in form, but do not have the same physical appearance as the object being modeled. Such models are referred to as analog models. One example is the speedometer. The speedometer of an automobile is an analog model. The position of the needle on the dial represents the speed of the automobile. This is an example of analog model. But in this course we are going to use mathematical models. What is mathematical model? Representation of a problem by a system of symbols and mathematical relationships or expressions. Such models are referred to as mathematical models and are a critical part of any quantitative approach to decision making. For example, what is mathematical model? One example, if we let x represents the number of units sold and P, capital P represents the total profit, then with a profit of $10 per unit, the following mathematical model defines the total profit earned by selling x units. So, P equal to 10x, an example of a mathematical model. Here P is the profit, x is the number of units sold, the 10 represents profit per unit, that is a $10. So, this is a simple example of your mathematical model. You should be very careful. This was Herbert A. Simon, a Nobel Prize winner in economics and an expert in decision making, said that a mathematical model does not have to be exact. It just has to be close enough to provide better result than can be obtained by common sense. Obviously, when we are looking for a mathematical models, you need not provide the exact solution, that is not required, but it should be close to the better result, but it has to provide the better result. In the mathematical model, there are certain terms I will introduce. One is the objective function, another one is the constraint. There will be a specific objective. That objective may be maximization of profit or minimization of cost. So, in the previous case when I say P equal to 10x, so I have to maximize my profit. So, here the maximization is our objective. A set of restriction or constraint such as production capacities may be there, because you cannot keep on produce x. Thus, a success of a mathematical model and quantitative approach will be depend heavily on how accurately the objective and constraint can be expressed in terms of mathematical equations and relationships. So, we have seen what is objective function, what is the constraint. Constraint is the restriction. For example, x you cannot produce infinitely. The x may require some time, there may be available capacity, available times, the x has to be produced only with the available times. So, that kind of restriction is called constraint. You see the previous what I have shown you, the maximize profit P 10x is called objective function. You see the maximum available time is 40 hours. Each unit take 5 hours. So, 5 into x should not exceed your 40 hours. Here x represents the number of products. The 5 represents time taken for making one product. So, the second one is called your product constraint. The decision problem or question the manager willing to ask is, how many units of product should be scheduled each week to maximize the profit. Okay. The complete mathematical model for this simple production problem is maximize P equal to 10x, this is called your objective function, subjected to 5x less than or equal to 40 and x greater than or equal to 0 is called a constraint. The second one is called non-negativity constraint. The first one is called production constraint, capacity constraint. X greater than or equal to 0 constraint require the production quantity x to be greater than or equal to 0, which simply recognize the fact that it is not possible to manufacture a negative number of units. Okay. The next term which I want to introduce here is optimal solution. The optimal solution to this model which I have shown in the previous slide can be easily calculated and is given by x equal to 8, because we have seen 5x less than or equal to 40, that is our constraint. So, the value of x will be 8. Okay. This model is an example of linear programming. How I got x? 40 divided by 5. The process of transforming model input into output. I have discussed the classification of input. One is controllable input, another one is uncontrollable inputs. When I say P equal to 10x and x less than or equal to 40, 5x less than or equal to 40. For example, this 10 unit profit is the uncontrollable input. This 5 time taken to manufacture one product is uncontrollable input. This 40 total available time, that is your uncontrollable input. Then what is the controllable input x? How many units need to be produced? That is your controllable input. So, when the model is having controllable and uncontrollable inputs, you can get the output projected result, that is your value of your x. Next we will be discussing about deterministic and stochastic models. We have seen uncontrollable inputs. What are the uncontrollable inputs? P equal to 10x, 5x less than or equal to 40, the 10, 5, 40, this is uncontrollable input. If it is known and cannot vary, that model is called deterministic model. If the 10, for example 5 and 40, if it is uncertain and it can vary, then that type of model is called stochastic or probabilistic models. Next we will come to the model solution. The specific decision variable value, in our previous problem we have seen x, the value of this x is called decision, is called a solution. The specific decision variable value or value providing the best output will be referred to as the optimal solution for the model. We have seen x equal to 8 was our optimal solution to the model. For the production problem, the model solution steps involves finding the value of production quantity decision variable x that maximizes profit while not causing a violation of production constraint. That solution is called your optimal solution. What is the optimal solution? The value which maximizes your objective function and that is not violating your constraint. So, that solution is called your optimal solution. How to get that optimal solution? We can get easiest way is a trial and error. One procedure that might be used in the model solution step involves a trial and error approach in which the model is used to test and evaluate various decision alternatives. In the decision models, this procedure would mean testing and evaluating the model under various production quantities are value of x. So, in the next slide I will show you how to do the trial and error method. Then when we say the solution, feasible or infeasible solution, if a particular decision alternative does not satisfy one or more of the model constraint, the decision alternative is rejected and is as being infeasible regardless of the objective function value. If all constraints are satisfied, the decision alternative is feasible and a candidate for the best solution or recommended decision. So, we have seen in our problem 5x less than or equal to 40, p equal to 10x. So, we can supply any value for x. If for example, I can substitute value x equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, as long as it is satisfying the constraint, so that solution is called a feasible solution. A feasible solution which maximizes your objective function is called your optimal solution. A solution which violates your constraint, that is called your infeasible solution. What you have seen? Solution, feasible solution and optimal solution. What is the feasible solution? A solution which satisfies the constraint is called a feasible solution. A solution which maximizes the objective function is called your optimal solution. In this slide I have given an example of trial and error method. P equal to 10x, 5x subject to 5x less than or equal to 40, x greater than or equal to 0, it is a constraint. So, here I am going to substitute the value of x randomly. When I substitute x equal to 0, the profit will be 0, the total hours of production, that is a 5x, 5 into 0 is 0, it is less than or equal to 40, yes, it is a feasible solution. Similarly, I can substitute to 2. So, when you substitute to 2, it will be 20, total hours of production consumed is 10, still it is less than 40. So, it is feasible solution. If I substitute x equal to 4, the projected profit will be 40 because 10 into 4, then total hours of production. So, 4 into 5 20, yes, it is feasible solution. If it is 6, again it is feasible solution. If you substitute 8, okay, it will be 80, profit will be 80, total hours of production is 5 into 40, this is feasible solution. If I substitute x equal to 10, what is happening? My profit is 100, 10 into 10, but you see that it is a 50 which is violating our constraint. So, up to this whatever solution x equal to 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 is a feasible solution. This value of x equal to 8 which maximizes our p, say it is 80, this is our optimal solution. The final step is report generation. The solution based on the quantitative analysis of a problem is one of the input to the manager before making a final decision. The result of the model must appear in a managerial report that can be easily understood by the decision maker. When you provide the solution, you should provide the solution such a way that the manager should be able to understand. The report includes the recommended decision and other pertinent informations about the result that may be helpful to the decision makers. Not only the result, if you want to provide any other pertinent informations about that result, that also has to be given, because the report will be used for your decision making. So, dear students, in our first lecture, I have explained the history of management science and its development. Then I have explained the importance of spreadsheet for decision making. Then I have explained the steps in problem solving. Then I have explained different types of model. There are 3 types of model: iconic model, analog model and mathematical models. In the mathematical models, I have explained what is a controllable input and uncontrollable input. Then I have explained what is the objective function and constraint. In the solutions, I have explained what is the feasible and infeasible solution. I have taken one problem. That problem was solved using trial and error method. In that solution, I have explained what is your feasible, what is our optimal solution. Thank you very much.